So I'm in Perth, over on the West Coast, and yeah, I'm just feeling the change of season and needing a good detox. So I'm just really interested in I've been studying with Sammy and the Live to Serve Academy since 2018, I think, December or September 2018.
Yeah.
And at that time we did uh what the 8 week transformation clinic that Sammy was running at the time, which was I think like maybe similar to this, and that like changed my life. It was incredible. So whenever Sammy runs something, I'm always keen to jump in, and the timing of this was very aligned with what my body needs at the moment. So yeah, I'm really keen to hear more. And I love like group support. I really, really thrive off like doing stuff together in community. And I definitely miss that. Like being over here on the West Coast, I haven't quite tapped into that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at and what I'm looking for.
Cool. So great to have you on. And thanks for sharing too. I just get so excited when we connect over the life-changing protocols and aspects and offerings of Ayurveda and yoga. So yeah, it's really cool. We can share this experience. Thanks, Rach. Okay, and we have some names that my tongue is not familiar with, so I apologize in advance if I pronounce your name wrong. Hey, Benny. Kadria, is that pronounced properly?
Hello, that's right. It's Kadriye.
Kadria, lovely. And whereabouts are you? And tell us a little bit more about yourself.
I live in Gold Coast, but originally I'm from Turkey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and just I feel after moved to Australia, it's been 5 years. I feel my immune system is getting low, and I struggle.
Mm,
So, as she say, I feel the seasons easily.
yeah.
So I like to just strengthen my immune system.
Yeah, great. That sounds good. Well, I hope this can help. I hope this can help for you. It sounds like it will be a nice start.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Kadria. And Tahia, nice to see your face.
Hello.
Thanks for switching on your video.
Hi. Yeah, so I'm Tahia and I met you at the Australian School of Meditation and Yoga. You did a workshop there.
Ah,
I think it was last year.
yeah,
Yeah, which I loved, and I love getting your emails. And yeah, I was really excited that you were doing this. So
cool. Nice to connect again. Great to
yeah,
have you.
definitely.
Awesome. Did you have anything going on for you health-wise that you chose to sign up for the cleanse, or more just love jumping in on this stuff and take what you can get from it?
I think a bit of both. Yeah, I think a bit of both. I've been doing lots of reading about Ayurveda, lots of books from the library and things like that. And yeah, just trying to apply some things, but I'm just finding, yeah, I need that sort of community just to motivate me.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Thanks, Tahia.
Thank you.
Barbara, did you want to share where you're from and why you signed up for the detox?
Hi, I'm from UK. I mean, I live in UK, but originally I'm from Poland.
Oh, wow.
And I signed up because for like a few years I'm interested in Ayurveda, but I never did the detox.
Hmm.
So I've got instruction how to do it, but yeah, I think I wasn't brave enough to
Yeah,
just do it.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Cool.
And recently, I found in our local library a book about Ayurveda. So I didn't start it to read it yet, but it looks great.
Nice.
I think it's just like it all come together, and I thought like, yeah, I I'll give it a go.
Oh, my journey started when I found a book on Ayurveda in a library. So you never know.
Oh,
When you open that book, there's no going back.
Yeah,
Cool.
I
Well,
have
it's
that
really,
feeling.
yeah, really nice to have you here. And I hope that I can do honors to and homage to Ayurveda with this cleanse experience for you, that you'll be inspired to read the book and start adding more to your life.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
And Sonia, you are eating. You do not have to unmute if you don't need to.
Hello. I'm always interested in Ayurveda, and yeah, I think the reason is probably for like hormone support and hormone wellness in general. I really want to fix my hormones or like at least take care of them.
Hmm,
And all of the things I've been doing so far have been helping a lot. So I
yeah,
know that whatever I can take will always add to my life and will always be better. Yeah.
fantastic. Love it. Sometimes it is that, isn't it? It's just taking one step, having a result, and then going, oh, and then your faith increases in the process and the science of it. So for anyone that feels overwhelmed looking into Ayurveda and yoga and you're thinking, oh my gosh, you don't have to do it all at once. You really can just take one thing, add it to your life, feel the benefits, and just take it one step at a time. And that is such a I guess, approach that I really advocate for with Ayurveda, because it can be really overwhelming and it can turn you off this beautiful, completely life transforming science and approach to living if you take on too much too soon. And sometimes it can blow people out completely. So I think that's a really nice segue in from a few of you mentioned that, it's you've touched or dabbled in Ayurveda before, but perhaps not quite fully embraced it yet. It really is a journey of just allowing it to meet you where you're at and taking it one step at a time. And it's really nice if you can have some friends to do it with, some community, some support. And I have to selfishly admit, part of the reason why I wanted to do this as a community cleanse too is I also love the social aspect, and I love connecting with people, and I love connecting with people in such a context of Ayurveda and yoga and healing and doing positive things to change our lives, to support each other through that, because it's not always easy and straightforward. I think or my experience has been for myself, for my own journey, and for the women that I've worked with over the past 15 plus years, is that sometimes you can look at the science and you can understand the logic of it. But when it comes to actually applying it to our life, it means changing thought processes. It means changes to what we're used to eating. It means changing habits and behaviors. There's this whole invisible domino effect of change that needs to occur, which can be really daunting. So you may experience that, and I just want you to know that's completely normal, but don't let it turn you off. And that's why it's nice to have community as well, because you can kind of share some of those challenges. I'll share in the follow-up email. I do have a Facebook group, which is it's a little love nest of me just sharing links of yoga classes and and when I have stuff like this on, I don't really post that much in there, so it's not an overwhelming place to hang out, but it is a nice place to know that you're connected in. And if you have any questions, you can post it in the group, or you can Facebook message me directly and we can have a little private chat that way. So I do want you to feel supported and I want you to feel connected in. And if you'd like to join the Facebook group, you are more than welcome to. We would love to have you. It's just a small, quiet little group. Um, so let's get into it. I don't want to take up too much of your time this evening because I know the real magic is going to happen with the effort over the next 7 days or so when you go about applying this protocol. So, a few things before we get started. Um, as I've just mentioned and really want to reinforce, everything that I'm going to be presenting to you is an option. So I'm going to present the full protocol, and I know that it's really effective, and it's more effective the more you're able to apply it. And it's perhaps less effective if you only apply a few elements. But if you only apply a few positive elements, you're still going to get those positive benefits. So don't minimize if you go through this and you're in that pre-contemplation phase where you're not quite ready to fully launch into a full cleanse just yet, but you go, you know what? I am going to do the daily yoga asana class. And the only thing you take away from this 7 day cleanse is that you practiced every day. That's going to benefit so much. That's going to be amazing. Or if the only thing that you take away from the next 7 days is you don't have any processed foods for 7 days, so you just stick to whole foods. You don't worry too much about the what to have, what not to have. You just choose to honor your body with only whole foods, no processed foods. You're going to get benefits. So this is not a black and white. This is not a black and white community, I will say. I really, really try to encourage people to um, be self-reflective, always be self-reflective. So hear the protocol, hear the science, learn, and then take time for yourself to make some decisions on what can I apply? What will I apply this time? What might I apply next time? And one thing about this cleanse is I'm really hoping to set you up with a self-care toolkit that you can just refer back to anytime. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to put all my eggs in this basket of this cleanse over this 7 days, and that's it. It's meant to be something that you understand the principles behind why do we need to cleanse our body, when is it applicable, and then have some really simple lifestyle tools that you can apply for yourself. So anytime you feel like your body is feeling sluggish or inflamed, you're going through a change of season, you get back from traveling, and you just need to give your body a little bit of a gentle reset, you can draw on this protocol to safely support yourself through just getting your body and your mind back on track. Does that all sound good and not scary? Not overwhelming. Okay, so we're going to look at why do we detox from an Ayurvedic and yogic perspective, objectives and outcomes of the detox, signs that you might need a cleanse, and then we're going to dig into the guidelines. So these are some of the amazing just messages people sent. They're not even necessarily testimonials, but they're testimonials to some of my women that have been on this protocol over the years, just sending in messages, letting me know how they're doing. And you can see that, yeah, people are feeling lighter. They're feeling more creative. They're reducing their habits. Their weight is going down, even though we're not focused on weight. So there's a lot of good to come out of this protocol, and it is really gentle and it's really manageable. So it's not all about just purifying the body or just like drastically fasting or doing anything too shocking or dramatic to your body. As you'll see when we go into it, is very gentle, very doable. You still can do it on 2,000 calories a day. But it can have a really holistic impact on your mind and body and your life. So, what you'll be sent in your detox or cleanse kit is a few PDFs. I recommend just downloading them all. Download them and open them up on your computer if you can, or an iPad, so that you can see the full pages and easily flick through them. And then you might have a couple of items where you just screenshot a couple of things and then save it to your device so that you've got an easy reference. Because once you get the gist of it, it's nice to just have a couple of JPEGs on your phone, keep it simple, and allow your intuition to guide you through the 7 days and not feel like you have to have a 70-page printout to be able to get through it. But as I said, this is intended to be a kit that you can hold on to and refer back to and use it over and over again. So it'll look a little bit comprehensive when you open it up for the first time, but once you get used to what you need to look at to be able to support yourself in the cleanse, it's all pretty simple and straightforward. So let's start by looking at what do we mean when we say detox? From a Western perspective, detox is the metabolic process by which toxins are changed into less toxic or more readily excretable substances, and it's usually associated with our liver. So if you were to say, oh, we're detoxing, and you're throwing that around in Western terminology, people might question what you mean by that. And then, doctors, people that are more geared towards Western medicine might even say, you can't detox your body. That's your liver does that for you. You can't detox your body. But then from an Eastern perspective, we have a different take on what cleansing or detoxing is. So, from an Ayurvedic perspective, we have what is called ama, and it's a buildup of a sticky mucus-like substance that is basically like a sludgy wear and tear type substance that builds up in the body, and it can be from actual excessive mucus, it can be from partial undigested food bits as well, and it all sticks to a sticky web and creates this kind of toxic sludge through our digestive tract. And when I say toxic, that sounds like, oh, would that be like drinking bleach or drinking something that you'd have to have your stomach pumped? It's not that kind of toxic, but in Ayurveda, they would determine anything toxic that makes the body unwell. So if you have this sticky sludge floating around in your digestive tract, what starts to happen is it builds just like when you blow your nose and you see thick mucus. So imagine that lining your GI tract and your stomach, and then through your intestines as well and your bowel. And imagine your body doing the work of trying to metabolize and assimilate your food, but things are getting stuck in this sticky web. It's making it very difficult for the body to go and digest the food and metabolize the food. So, in that sense, what we're trying to do from an Ayurvedic perspective is to mechanically remove that excess sticky sludge. So, by detoxifying, we are either through minimizing the buildup of that ama, or doing activities like from a panchakarma perspective, which is the traditional medical grade Ayurvedic cleanse. They will go to great efforts to mechanically remove that. I'm going to go into a bit of graphic details here. There's something called enemas. I'm sure you guys have heard of that before, but an enema going up the anus with water and flushing everything out to help dislodge and remove that mucousy substance, and then also going from the top down into the stomach by drinking a herbal tincture, followed by lots of water and sweet milk, and with nurses and with your doctor doing a supported vomiting therapy, which again brings up lots of mucus. And I've actually done that a couple of times over in India. It's illegal in Australia, but did it in India, and it's really, really effective. And I actually got to look down at the bucket of water and see nearly the entire top of the water was covered in mucus. And when I saw it, I thought, oh my gosh, that's a lot of mucus. Like, how else was that going to get out? So, things that we can do from a Western perspective to instead of doing that vomit therapy are things like bitter herbs, eating lots of bitter greens, and just changing our diet a little bit to kind of reduce that. But it's really interesting how Ayurveda has these fantastic mechanical ways to reduce ama in the body or remove it, along with manual therapies, yoga therapy, massage, oil, all that sort of stuff to help break things up and help with the elimination and detoxification process. So we're not going to go that hardcore, but we are going to change up our diet a little bit. We are going to try and lighten the load on our digestive tract. We're going to try and change the types of food that we eat so that we are eating a little bit more sour foods, bitter greens, less heavy foods, and that's going to help to lighten things up in our body and reduce inflammation. So this, as we just mentioned, ama is undigested metabolic waste. It's slimy, sticky, it's mucousy, it lacks intelligence. We do have some similar substances in the body which are actually important for the body to have, and they have an inherent intelligence and are part of our physiological functioning and part of the structure of the body. But this armor does not have intelligence. It's dead matter and it's a disease-causing substance. So the more it builds up in our body, the more we may be symptomatic of just feeling unwell. And this is one of the things that really drew me to Ayurveda. When I was 19, I was unwell. I wasn't quite diagnosed yet because I didn't fit the criteria from a Western medical perspective, but I was unwell. I knew that I was unwell, but nobody could give me any answers. And when I started reading about all of this, I thought, yes, this is so cool because there's much more of a criteria for symptoms of imbalance in Ayurveda to allow us to self-correct and course correct with our health and well-being before it gets to a chronically diagnosed disease state. So this is one of the really empowering things about learning how to cleanse, even in this very gentle at-home manner, is it gives us a little bit of power to self-identify symptoms, which we'll talk about in a moment, and be able to take action and start making small, gentle changes that don't shock the body, that are nothing too crazy, that you might notice that those early stages of disease or imbalance are something that you had the power to change before it manifested into that disease categorized state. So what we're looking to do on the cleanse is to reduce ama. We're also wanting to restore Agni. So your digestive fire, your metabolism, your capacity to take in food and assimilate it into the nutrition, the energy that we need to live a healthy life and to have our body functioning well. And what we're also going to do on this cleanse too, as a habit forming goal, is to really try and live according to our circadian rhythm, which in Ayurveda, there is a ritual for this called dinacharya. And when you look at it on paper, it looks long and it looks like, whoa, how do I do all this? But we're going to break down how it's a little bit straightforward in that you're basically aligning with your circadian rhythm. You're going to bed when we know we should be going to bed between 9 and 10-ish, waking up with the sun. You're eating at morning, noon, and night, exercising at an appropriate time of the day, and just really aligning your activities with the natural biological rhythms of your body and also of the daily rhythm of nature around us as well. And that reduces a significant amount of stress in our body, and it helps to enhance digestion. It helps with our Agni as well, our balanced Agni. So instead of looking at ama and reducing ama as just, oh, it's what I put in my mouth because it's related to my digestive tract, it must be all from what I put in my mouth. Food is a massive pillar, yes, and a massive part of reducing ama, but we also need to support ourselves in a holistic way. So that's why we're also going to include yoga asanas, stress management, meditation, feeling happy and content and grounded, and also exercise will be part of the recommendation for this cleanse too, because we want to create balance and harmony in our physiology, in our body, in our mind as well. So we're hoping to rest and rejuvenate the digestive system, clear and reduce ama, improve assimilation and elimination, increase energy levels, decrease inflammation in the body, which is a big one. Inflammation across Eastern and Western medicine is both said to be a precursor to disease. So early stages of inflammation, if we're getting those symptoms, we definitely want to do what we can to help reduce that inflammation. And improving the general quality of our diet. So let's talk a little bit about some of the signs that you might need a detox. It's good to have a bit of awareness of this too, because as I mentioned, it may apply to you further down the track. And if you pick up on these symptoms, waking up in the morning, you feel a bit fuzzy, and you look in the mirror before you brush your teeth, poke your tongue out, you see it's like a bit white and fuzzy, covered in a white film. You notice you're getting skin breakouts. Don't ignore it. actually make some changes, and this diet protocol, this detox protocol might help you to get back on track. So what we look out for is a white furry covering on the tongue, or any kind of furry coloring. Sometimes it can be a bit yellow, sometimes it can be a bit whitey green, sometimes it can be very red and inflamed looking. Constant lethargy. If you're tired all the time and you have head fog all the time, that is often a sign of this armor building up out of the deep. Because what happens too is that once it gets overwhelming in the digestive tract, and then the armor starts getting drawn into the bloodstream, it starts to circulate throughout your body, and that's when we start to feel it in different ways, like lethargy. Heavy sleeping heavy and feeling like you can't get enough sleep, waking up with a fuzzy head, feeling irritable and snappy, skin problems, acne, psoriasis, skin inflammation, bloating, PMS. So, for those of you who are still on a cycle, noticing any symptoms throughout your cycle, PMS is a very blankety kind of unspecific way of saying in the week leading up to your period, notice any symptoms. So if you have in like overwhelming irritability, if you have breakouts, if you are overly emotional during that week before your period, if during your period you have excessive pain and cramping, if you feel really, really bad gut upset, all of those things are your body giving you messages that symptomatically something's not quite right. So while you might go seek medical attention, you can also work on doing a bit of a uh, detox protocol and making some lifestyle changes to see if that helps. For some women that I've worked with, it's even been as something as simple as giving up cacao. So giving up cacao throughout the month, their daily cacao, with maple syrup and an almond milk or something like that. It's come down to that being the deciding factor of reducing skin breakouts and reducing pain. Other people, it's giving up coffee. Other people, it's changing their diet completely and it's much bigger. Some people, it's way more complex. But definitely don't ignore symptoms if that's something that you're experiencing. And then constipation or diarrhea. So if you have dry, blocked up stool, or if you have hot, overly watery or runny poo as well, that is also symptomatic that there's some kind of imbalance in your digestive system. Okay, so before we go into the protocol, just remember that this is a guide only, and you can modify or adjust it as needed, and it's not to be taken in lieu of medical advice. So if you are feeling like you might need medical advice, I've got a couple of fantastic Ayurvedic doctors I can refer you to, one in India and a male doctor in India and a female doctor in Sydney. I pride myself on my little black book of just knowing people. So sometimes I just hear about your symptoms and I'm like, oh, you need to see such and such, and I might be able to refer you on. Or if you need more support, I do offer services as well, one-on-one services. But yes, don't do this cleanse and think this will fix everything if you have actual medical symptoms or if you're just not sure. It's never a bad idea to go and get a checkup. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is with the detox at home is not thinking of it like, oh, I'm going to remove all this stuff. I'm going to be starving and I'm going to just like sacrifice all these things and it's going to be really hard. We want to think of it in a really positive manner. It's a mode of goodness approach to cleansing. So it is holistic. We are going to be keeping your senses engaged in an intelligent sattvic manner. So it can be really helpful to, if you're working on the food that you're eating and you're working on practicing your asanas and maybe you're starting to do some meditation as well, then also be mindful as to what you expose yourself to. So maybe you want to minimize social media. give yourself a break for a week. Maybe you want to minimize how much content or TV you consume at night. Maybe you choose to read a book or study instead, just for 7 days. I find for myself, whenever I have a bit of a digital detox, is it takes me a few days to let go because the habit and the attachment to and the arousal, I get really like used to having that level of stimulation. So you may experience that it's hard initially and you feel like, oh, I don't think I need to do it. I don't think I can do it. And your mind is telling you, no, no, it's fine. But if you've become habituated to content consumption whenever you feel like it, or binge watching at nighttime, or any of those sorts of things that are very easy to do in modern society, just see if you can give yourself a break. So even if you were to do that as your detox, even if you were to just have a digital detox, that alone would be massive. You would feel so different by the end of the 7 days. Your senses would feel a little bit withdrawn. Your mind would feel a little bit more calm and relaxed. So what we can think of doing is having a look at how much we engage our senses throughout the day in different ways. It might be digitally, it might be other things, it might be snacking on foods, it might be shopping, it might be whatever. But being mindful of that and reducing stimulation of the senses and just trying to switch and engage our senses in a more mode of goodness manner. So getting out in nature, doing constructive things like reading and learning, having nice real-time social connection instead of texting friends via social media, invite them over for a cup of tea or call somebody and have a FaceTime or a phone call instead of instant communication. So just maybe you'll do gardening, maybe you'll do some painting, maybe you'll pick up the pencils, giving yourself the opportunity to be engaged in a more mindful, holistic, grounding, sattvic manner. Then we're going to be consuming sattvic cleansing foods. We're going to look at some cleansing techniques. So I'm just going to run through these quickly, and you'll be given the slides as well. So anything we go over, you'll be given the slides, and you can go back and research further on. But tongue scraping is fantastic. If you have an Ayurvedic tongue scraper, go ahead and use it every morning. If you don't, you can use the edge of a spoon and just scrape your tongue. It's basically when you get up in the morning and you're getting ready to wash your face and brush your teeth, you can go to that white film in your tongue and scrape it down. Because if you don't scrape it off, it goes down into your digestive tract. So we're just minimizing that. And that can become a daily habit that you stick with. Oil pulling is another fantastic habit too, for detoxifying or bringing like an antibacterial, natural antibacterial into your gum area and of course your tongue as well. All you need to do is get a teaspoon of oil. If you're hardcore, you can use black sesame oil, not the stuff you get at the Asian store, but a cold pressed sesame oil or coconut oil is also fine. Just 1 teaspoon or tablespoon, put it in your mouth and then swish it around for about 5 to 10 minutes. And you'll feel your mouth gets full with the oil and with your spit, and then go spit it out in the garden. And you'll feel the your teeth feel really shiny. Your gums also feel really fortified, just like if we were to fortify our tissues with oil. Doing it for your mouth as well is really fantastic. And it is an antibacterial too. Pranayam, so breath work is another great technique too. So just engaging in simple yogic breathing to help unblock the channels and really get your prana flowing throughout your mind and body. Facial steaming or going in a steam room is absolutely fantastic. Massage and self-massage are also highly recommended. If you can get a good quality organic oil, I use sesame oil as a base, any kind of Ayurvedic oils that you like, or coconut oil is also fantastic. It doesn't have as much odor and it's accessible, easier to find. And just going over your whole body, top to toe, just like a massage therapist would massage you, but you do it to yourself as best you can. And that helps with circulation and helps with the detoxifying process as well. Rest. Mm-mm-mm. Yes, please. I would love to be resting more, but how come it's so hard? Um, life needs to just stop for a moment so we can all rest. So resting when you can, actually taking time, um, on weekends to say no to some social outings or say no to things that you might usually say yes to and take a bit of rest. And that could be just with a cup of tea watching the sunrise or the sunset. It could be taking a nap with a book in the afternoon. It could be lying out in the sun under a tree or something like that. It doesn't need to be, okay, I'm putting myself to bed, I must rest. You can be creative and do something you enjoy doing, but allowing yourself to not feel switched on and not feel like you're obligated to be doing stuff. And when we rest and when we take some downtime too, it's a really great time to process emotions. And it is something that I think we've lost a little bit of touch with as life has gotten busier and more instant and digital. But those times of rest, like drinking a cup of tea as the sun sets, is where you can allow the day to wash over you. So all the things that may have happened, all the little dot points of things that, challenges that came up or conversations that you had or situations that you encountered that you couldn't deal with then and there, but you need to sort of sort through. Giving yourself time to do that each day is really good for stress relief and emotional regulation, and fantastic for not taking our stresses to bed or allowing things to accumulate over time. I like to process my emotions through journaling and talking at my husband. That's a way I love to process my emotions. Not talking to him, talking at him. So I'm like, sit down and listen. I just got to get this off my head. Um, all right, so let's go. So that's just a brief overview of some of the activities that you can add in. And when you look at the guides, you'll see that those activities are thread throughout and mentioned, and there's a bit of overviews as to how to practice them. You can also Google and look at YouTube tutorials as well, for more information. But let's get into breaking down the cleanse. So I strongly encourage that you pre-tox. You don't need to go straight into detoxing straight away because what can happen is, from an Ayurvedic perspective, they say you might shock the doshas, which we don't want to do. We want to ease into it. We want to minimize any withdrawal symptoms, headaches, cramping sensations, aches in the body, feeling hit by a truck, like you've been hit by a truck. We want to minimize that. So the pre-tox gives us an opportunity to start weaning off processed foods, caffeine, some of our habits. Giving yourself 3 to 5 days to do that will mean that when you go to try and put your all into doing the detox, you're not going to be suffering unnecessarily. Then we go into the detox phase, and this is where we really try and stick to what we're going to talk about in the protocol, but that's like the main component of where you're actually committing to no processed foods, no sugars, a very, very low inflammation diet, no gluten, no dairy, very simple whole food diet, even quite low on protein and fats as well, because we just want it to be really easy for your body to digest and get the basic nutrition that it needs, because it's short term. This is not forever. This is not a diet that you're going to start and stay on. This is just a short term thing to give your body a break while giving it a base set of kind of macro energy, storage, and not energy storage, energy availability to be able to get through your day and to function and not feel like you're starving. But it's very, very simple and very light. And then just like we don't want to shock our body going onto the detox, we also don't want to shock the body going off the detox. Hands up if you've done a detox or a cleanse or a diet before and you followed the diet to a T, and if you just stick to it for the 12 days, it'll be all good, or the 30 days, and you get to that final day, and then it's like party time, and let's go all you can eat, and let's go straight to pizza and a gallon of orange juice, and and then everything comes undone. So we don't want to do that. We want to prevent that from happening. And really, what I'm trying to um, set you guys up with too is a psychological approach for maintaining a cleanse. Is it's not just having a reaction to, oh, I've been on holidays. Oh, I feel like crap because I was, traveling Europe and I ate this, this, and this, and I was like eating croissants here and I was pizza there and it was blah, blah, and then you get back and you're like determined, okay, the detox starts day one when I get back. It's not like it shouldn't be like that. It should be a very mindful, not a reaction to enjoying life and having a little bit of extra quality of life for a short period of time. We don't want to get in the habit of using this wonderful mode of goodness, supportive detox protocol, as a way of slapping ourselves for having a good time. So really just trying to give you a framework that you can follow that is very simple, very doable, and also measured in that you build up into the detox and then you kind of reverse out of the detox as well. So your pre-tox might look like roughly 3 days, give or take. If you're heavier in consumption with processed foods and caffeine, you might need 5 to 7 days. So weaning off stimulants, if you're somebody that's having 3 or 4 coffees a day, you might wean down to 2 coffees and then for a few days. And then you might wean down to 1 coffee for a few days. And then you might wean to green tea for a few days and then go off caffeine. Some people just stay on green tea. Some people don't go off caffeine, but they choose a lighter, less intense option. So for anyone that struggles to get off caffeine, don't punish yourself. Just do your best. Wean off it as much as you can, and you'll feel the benefits. During the pre-tox as well, it gives you an opportunity to prepare your kitchen. So looking at the shopping list, maybe you'll get an example template of what a week of meals might look like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but it's a template only. It's really just an example. So based on where you're living and the climate that you're in and what you like to eat, what you don't like to eat, what your digestion can handle, you can totally adapt everything that you see on the template. So prepare your kitchen by looking at the shopping list, making a bit of a plan for yourself, going and getting all the ingredients that you need, and then also using that time to mentally prepare for the adjustment of changing some of your habits, not eating all your normal foods that you would be. You might need to have conversations with your loved ones. If you're sharing a house with anyone, just letting them know what you're doing so that nobody's badgering you and you can hopefully recruit their support. And then also a good idea is if you're not exercising already, beginning a gentle daily exercise routine, which might be just starting with some daily walking. It might be, well, you'll get my exercise regime anyway, which you can have a look at and see if, you can follow along with that, or even just yoga asanas, some kind of movement practice. And now this final point is optional. Um, if it feels like it's too much or it's overwhelming, don't do it. Just forget about it. It's literally just optional. So option to do a 3-day flush using using herbal laxatives to flush everything out and just clean out the pipes. So you'll see reference to this in the cleanse guide with a little bit more detail on it. So you can listen tonight, have a think about it, and go read more about it if it's what you want to do. All the details are there. But basically thinking of like, okay, say you have a bit of rust in the pipes, doing a fiber drink in the evening, followed by a herbal laxative. The fiber drink, like slippery elm, is my favorite because it's quite gentle. Or you could do a mix of slippery elm and psyllium husk, or ground up flax seeds. Psyllium husk and slippery elm are my favorite. The only thing you've got to be careful of is they swell up. And as a test, if you want to see and go, oh yeah, I don't want that happening in my guts. If you were to put the slippery elm and the psyllium husk in a glass of water, say like this, and you put a teaspoon in there or a tablespoon in there, stir it around and leave it for 2 hours, you'll be able to turn the glass upside down and it'll plop out like a sausage. So, you don't want to be constipated from the fiber. So it's really important that if you do the fiber flush and laxative flush, the fiber is there because it has the scraping mechanism. So that's what helps to absorb and scrape the sticky armor away from the sides of your digestive tract. But you want to then chase it down with plenty of water. So if you do that, if you did it at about 6 or 7 p.m., make sure you get in about a liter of water or some warm herbal tea just to make sure it's all going to flush through. And then the laxative will also help with that as well. But it also means that when you do have the release the next day, it goes a little bit slower. So if you don't use the slippery elm or psyllium, or if you're not using that kind of scraping mechanism and the fiber, and you just use the laxative, you won't get that same kind of like sandpaper in to get everything out, and you'll get a flush, like a strong flush, and it'll be like, oh, I got to go to the toilet, and you will need to run to the you will need to run to the toilet and make sure you get there in time, depending on which laxative you use, of course. But so the fiber slows everything down, and you may just have a slow but steady big bowel movement that just kind of cleans out the pipes. And there's no like everybody responds to the fiber and laxatives differently. And even at different stages of your life or different seasons of your life, you will respond to it differently. So it depends on what's going on in your gut, the seasons, how much you're exercising, if you're how fired up your Agni is. So I can't give you. I've given you recommendations in the guide, but it depends on which items you're using. And it can be just a bit of a trial and error process. So if you're not sure, start small and then build up. So you might adjust if you start small and you don't really have much of a bowel movement the next day, you could just turn it up a notch just a little bit. Take an extra capsule of the laxative or extra two, and see how that goes in flushing things out. All right. Any questions on the pre-tox? Good. Let's get into the detox. So you're basically maintaining the cleanse protocol, which we'll have a look at, and observing dinacharya. So really trying to align yourself with the circadian rhythm. I can't stress enough. For those of you who have been in my programs for years will know I'm like dinacharya. Dinacharya is everything. But it's one of those things that gets overlooked so often because it's so simple. But if you're not in alignment with your body's natural rhythms, you're creating unnecessary stress, and it's not just one day of not being in alignment. It's if we've lived years a little bit out of alignment and a bit out of whack, that stress builds up in our body. And when you come back to living aligned with nature's way, it just creates so much ease in your functionality. You'll notice that your bowel movements are more regular, your sleep cycle, your sleep-wake cycle becomes more regular, your hunger cues become regular, and you feel less like driven by cravings because your body is getting what it needs when it needs it. You're sleeping when you need to, you're recovering, you're detoxing, because a lot of recovery occurs during our evening sleep, where our body goes through rest and restore, and goes through a bit of a rejuvenation process, and then you wake up in the Vata time of the day and your body is ready to eliminate and get rid of anything it doesn't need anymore. So when we're out of whack with that, we're robbing our body of the opportunity to function in a way that it optimally does. So dinacharya is really important. And I've also added in a life audit. It's a really simple assessment that I created based on kind of mode of goodness, meaningful living. And it's nice to do that when you're going through the protocol. I would say usually it's usually day 3 that you start to come down off being on all the stimulants, being able to eat whatever you want, and you get this kind of flat where your body's gone from like, always being pepped up to, okay, we're not pepping it up. There's no crutch anymore. And you kind of get to this kind of lull, and it feels like a temporary depression. It feels like you want to cry. It feels like I don't want to get out of bed today. I just feel so flat. I feel heavy. Oh my God, this is awful. I don't think I can do this. Um, and that day can be challenging if you don't expect it. But if now that I'm telling you, hey, everybody goes through this, and I know this because every time I do these community cleanses, or I have a client that's going through it, it's always like we start on the Monday, and on the Wednesday, I get voice messages saying, yeah, it's always the same kind of feeling. And I know it myself too from when I've done this cleanse. So expect that that might happen, but it's a nice time for self-reflection because when we're not having all of that external stimuli and props, we can take a bit of time to go, yes, without the masking, where am I really at? And with this bit of downtime, while I'm feeling a little bit like I want to be alone and introspective, doing the life audit quiz is a really great activity to do because it just allows you to self-reflect and go, yeah, this is where I'm at. And it's not a right or wrong assessment. It's a self-reflection assessment that thanks, Barbara. That allows you to just get a snapshot of where you're at, and then it'll give you feedback. It'll be like, yeah, actually, I'm not moving my body every day like I should be. That's something I'm going to work on. Or I don't have a spiritual practice in place at all. Hey, I never really thought of that before. That might be something that I might look into. So it's just giving you some little indicators to look at yourself and your life and your health and wellness through a holistic framework. So that's included in your cleanse kit. When you download that tonight, you'll see that it's sitting in there. Okay, so this is the actual protocol, very simply put. So if you didn't have any recipes, if I didn't give you recipes, if I didn't give you a template of meals, this is what you would carry around with you to make your decisions around what ideally am I focusing on and what am I trying to avoid during this time of the detox. So we're focusing on whole foods and we're omitting processed foods. We are focusing on 3 to 4 meals a day, morning, noon, and night, and perhaps something in the early afternoon. And your portion sizes are your 2 hands together. That's the Ayurvedic way, is what is the ideal portion for you personally is your 2 hands together. So that's your portion sizes. So even when you go to do, if you cook any of the recipes that I suggest, they're proposed portion sizes. They're not, you must eat all of this food on your plate. It's proposed portion sizes, but adapt it to suit your ideal meal size. And try not to eat more than that. And it will be hard because we're used to eating a little bit extra. And we're used to having second helpings and enjoying our food. But during this time, we're trying to rest our digestive system. We're trying to take it easy. And it's really cool to see at the end of the cleanse, once you've mastered eating only your 2 hands together and not snacking between meals, you need less. You realize that you don't actually need as much food as you have been eating. And for anyone who has ever struggled with weight, what I love about this cleanse is you don't have to be cleansing or detoxing to lose the weight, but the habits that it strips you back to helps us to self-reflect and go, oh, I don't need to be on a diet, but if I was to honor the design of my body and how my body optimally functions, which is eating 3 to 4 meals a day this size, sleeping at a certain time, waking at a certain time, sticking to sattvic food, moving my body every day. It's not rocket science. It's actually really simple and straightforward. It just takes a little bit of self-control, a little bit of adjustment. But once you lock into that, you realize that, hey, there is a kind of like universal protocol that our human bodies thrive on. And it's simple and adaptable and can be adjusted to suit our culture and climate. But it can be really personal and straightforward as well. Personalized in that to suit, choosing foods that suit us and what we want to eat, choosing portion sizes that suit our hand size, our stomach size. But yeah, it's really empowering. Is the main point that I wanted to drive. As far as sugar goes, we're going to avoid, just during this time, avoid sugars, no artificial sweeteners. You can have up to a teaspoon of honey a day if you have to, but even, you could omit that as well. Sticking to water and herbal teas, and no stimulants, no alcohol. And also just try not to have any processed drinks, really. What will happen too if you stick to water and herbal teas is your body will rehydrate, especially if you're not having processed foods. The processed foods, a lot of the different chemicals and stuff in the foods can have a dehydrating effect on our body. And also, if we are drinking stimulants, that can be dehydrating. Alcohol can be dehydrating. Um, Sugars and things as well can be quite inflammatory. So you'll go through a period too where you might notice that your mouth starts to feel like you've got a bit of cotton mouth, and that's your body actually giving you signs that it is quite dehydrated and you're slowly starting to rehydrate. And the best way to do that is on warm beverages, so warm water, and warm herbal teas, not boiling hot, but drinkable temperature. And then we've got here the option for a herbal laxative before bed, which is what we discussed. So it's all pretty straightforward, yeah? Simple, pretty doable. Okay, so you'll be sent, as I mentioned, this is kind of what not kind of, this is what the detox plan looks like. Really simple. And you'll see the foods on there are predominantly sour fruits or simple fruits. You might even see some mono meals as well. If some mornings where you're feeling like you don't want to create a meal, you can just have one fruit and have a bowl of the one fruit. Because remember, it's not forever. It's just giving your body a rest, keeping it nice and simple so it doesn't have lots of different things to digest. Also want to point out too, you'll see the supplements. They are completely optional. Just depends how hard you want to go. It depends on the budget that you have. If you want to get supplements, you can, but they're not essential. Everyone always gets stressed when they see the supplements, and I just want to let you know that you're going to have a great experience even if you don't have the supplements, but the supplements will enhance your experience. If you were going to get one out of all of them, I would suggest getting a good greens, because greens by nature, they have cleansing properties and they help to remove all different greens. So if you can get a mixed greens of grasses, and seaweeds, like algae, blue-green algae, that would be fantastic for this cleanse, because that's going to help just to, yeah, detoxify the body. And then as you come off, so you can do that phase. You can go through the phase of this. So I don't like overwhelming anyone. When I'm introducing you to the cleanse, I want you to just have a go. Maybe you'll do it 3 days pre-tox, 4 days detox, and then 1 or 2 days to wean back off it. And you'll feel amazing benefits from that. You'll notice a lot. You'll feel different. You'll get a lot of feedback for yourself as well for adjustments moving forward. But depending on your body type, if you're lighter by nature, say more Vata type, you'll find that 1 week is probably enough, 1 to 2 weeks max. And if you're more Pitta inclined, if you're more of a medium build and you have strong digestion and you're pretty fiery, usually about 1 to 2 weeks, maybe even 3, tends to be okay. And then people that are Kapha types, so strong structure body, maybe a little bit more heavy set, slow but strong digestion, and more tolerant just by nature, like more mentally able to tolerate hardship. You might find that you can actually go a whole month doing this cleanse protocol and do it quite comfortably. Whereas somebody that's more Vata type, after a week or so, they start going, oh my God, I need to be eating heavier foods. Like, they're gonna have insomnia or float off into the heavens because it's too light. So, but again, start small and let it be achievable. Let it be easy enough that you feel like, yes, I did it. I can do this. Don't make it so hard that you feel like, oh, I couldn't do it, and then you don't want to do it anymore. It's better to start small, do what you can do and do it well, and then gradually build yourself up when you repeat the cleanse in the future. And you might, because you've already then done it, you psychologically know what you're up for. When you do it again, you'll find it easier and you'll be able to extend it another few days. Thanks, Rach. She says, I first did this protocol in 2018. I've returned to it many times. So many of the recipes have become staples. The dressings and sauces. Everybody talks about the dressings. So good. Fantastic. Thanks, Rach. Nice to see you. Okay, so then transitioning off, you might find that when you transition off, there's a few habits that you want to keep, like maintaining dinacharya might be something that wasn't done before that you can carry on doing. You might find that you feel really good on whole foods and including more foods that are rich in fiber and vitality, produce. You might discover some new recipes in the detox or new breakfast or something that you think, hey, that made me feel really good throughout the day. I'm going to keep that. So there might be things that you do keep up. Maybe your yoga asana practice becomes a habit. But just take your time to gradually include foods again. Don't do the whole, oh, I finished the detox, I'm ordering pizza. Take your time to, choose some filling and wholesome foods, but slowly build back up to your regular eating pattern. So also including a yogic approach too, is considering that we can take a holistic approach to detoxing and cleansing. So our asana practice, where we're actually doing physical postures, helps to unblock channels. It helps to massage, our lymphatic system. It helps with our cardiovascular system. It squeezes and contracts and massages through our digestive organs as well, your nervous system, basically just tunes everything up in our physical body. So it can really help with the detoxification process as well. I know for myself, when I really commit to a daily practice, my Agni, like my digestive fire, goes like regularly going to the toilet, definitely need to eat. Whereas if I'm not practicing regularly, my digestion becomes really sluggish. Pranayama as well for cleansing the subtle channels and supporting our mental state, and mantra meditation. So there'll be an email. You'll see mantra meditation in all of the yoga asana classes that I send through. And in one of the daily emails too, there's a meditation track and some little tips for how to add meditation to your day. And then we have also connecting with our higher purpose. So when you go through the detox and you remove some of these kind of externalized elements of our lifestyle, it leaves a little bit of space to contemplate our higher purpose and contemplate who we are on a deeper level. When you let go of some of these attachments as well, it does kind of prompt or provoke a little bit of self-reflection in that sense. So it's a really nice time for thinking and contemplating beyond just our material needs. So we can support our mind, which can be the most challenging part actually, because your mind is hooked up to your senses, and your senses are what taste the foods and the smells and, the comforts and things like that. So supporting our mind during the cleanse can be a really excellent way to support yourself in being able to sustain the cleanse and feel comfortable while you're doing it. So taking a sattvic approach where you're including meditation, and the foods that you're going to be eating are actually going to be supportive of a healthy sattvic mental state as well. Taking some time for self-reflection, reading and reflecting, having good quality conversations with people, and reducing tech time, reducing any unnecessary stress. So that's a wrap. I'll hand it over to you guys now. That was it's pretty speedy approach, but I think it did give us a good enough overview that when you go to look at the guides now, you might find that, okay, yeah, this all makes sense. But I'd love to throw it over to you guys if you have any questions or anything that's relevant to your personal situation, any challenges for applying the protocol, or yeah, just questions you had about your own personal health and well-being and how to manage applying the detox.
Should we wait to be up like at the end of our period to start everything?
Yeah, that's up to you. I know if you're going to be doing anything drastic, I would say probably wait. Um, like if you're going to go hardcore with the food and you're going to be exercising and doing the yoga asanas every day, but you could get started with the pre-tox for sure, because that's just eating pretty light. And also want to mention too that because when you mentioned that, I was like, oh yeah, as long as you stick to warm cooked foods you should be right. Some of the suggested meals in the plan are things like veggie sticks or salads. And some people don't do well with raw food, or some people don't like eating cold, crunchy foods, and that's completely okay. You don't have to have salad. You could steam veggie sticks and have some nice, warm, simple vegetables to munch on with some hummus or your favorite dip. And then the salads, though. Thanks, Tahia. Nice to have you on. The salad is actually it. The reason why there's raw food included, despite what everybody thinks about Ayurveda saying you should not eat raw.
That's right.
Yeah, an appropriate amount of raw food is really cleansing for the body. So the fiber, the vitality, the micronutrients in their raw state, the enzymes in an appropriate amount. So a little side salad, or even some live sprouts are really beneficial for the cleansing process. So I'm not saying that we should eat sumo jumbo salads and not be eating raw foods at every meal, but a little bit of raw food included in appropriate amounts, if you can digest it, is yeah, can be really good.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions before we sign
Yeah,
off?
I've got a little question about processed foods. I mean, you say eating hummus. If I go to the shop and I buy some hummus, is that processed food?
It's up to you. It's up to you how hardcore you want to go. I'm a pretty easygoing Whole Foods kind of a girl. So if you
Mhm.
can make it yourself, that would be ideal. If you don't have time to make it yourself and hummus, it's a good quality hummus. I would say it's fine to have. And I'll just share just for one minute on this too. Um, to put things into perspective of where we're at individually. So, what might be sattvic for somebody at one stage of their journey might later on become, hey, that's kind of tamasic. So if you're used to eating a highly processed diet and then you go onto this detox and you're steaming some broccoli, and you've got a little bit of basmati rice on the side and you want to have some hummus, I would call that a sattvic meal. If you're going and eating like this for another 5 weeks, and then we have a conversation about, oh, how sattvic is it? I might start encouraging you, like, hey, hummus is really easy to make. Why don't you get some tahini and boil up some chickpeas, and you can add your own fresh garlic and you can make your own batch of hummus. But this is the cool thing about Ayurveda and yoga is it allows us to take steps and gradually grow, and it's like an upward spiral. It's not like we go around doing the same thing. We take another step and another step and another step, and our journey continues to evolve. So go based on what's healthier or the healthiest on what you can practically manage and what you feel practically ready to do.
Okay, thank you. In terms of vegetables, I tend to stir fry them. Would it be better to steam them?
For the cleanse, I mean, possibly, give or take. It depends what you stir fry them in. You could stir fry them in ghee and a little bit of tamari or something like that, and that would be great. Ghee is fantastic. Ghee is the oil of choice that is always welcomed and accepted, even during a cleansing process.
And would that be organic ghee?
Whatever you can get your hands on and afford. Organic
Yeah.
ghee here in Australia is like, oh, it may as well be gold.
Right. Okay. I stir fry the vegetables in olive oil. Is that okay?
That's fine. Yeah.
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 Right. But I do add a little bit of onion. Now, somebody told me recently that onion, leek, and garlic were like filthy energy.
Rajasic.
Is,
Well,
is
it's
that
rajasic, mode of passion. Yeah. So garlic and onion are considered mode of passion. So again, it's up to you. But if you're someone that's transitioning off, say, ramen, 2-minute noodles, and you need a little bit of flavor, using medicinal whole vegetables like garlic and onion and leek is a good transitional thing. But if you don't need to have them and if you can go without them, I would try going without them. But if you're like, nah, I'm not even going to eat anything. If I can't have the flavor, then just do your best to stick to whole foods as much as possible.
okay? Okay. So I haven't quite got it. I realized that I was eating every day garlic, leek, and onions, and I feel quite rough. Would that be why?
Well, it won't be the sole reason, but if you've got inflammatory disorders, I would say don't have the onion and garlic. Try without. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
I'm gonna ask you another question. It's about ekadashi. Do you use ekadashi?
Ekadashi. What's ekadashi?
Well, it's fasting a few days before the full moon and a
Oh,
few days
ekadashi.
before.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
right. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. I do personally with my family. My kids have just started doing it, but how we approach it is um, to abstain from grains, legumes, beans. So literally just eating a little bit of light vegetables, very simple meal, and maybe a bit of fruit. So basically fasting on fruit and vegetable for a day. Yeah, before the full moon and after the full moon at certain days before and after. I think it's like 11 days before and 11 days after or something.
Do we know what the moon does to the food once it gets in our bodies?
I'm not
Might
sure,
we
sorry.
might they recommend? Well, how did you pronounce it?
Ecodicy.
Ekadasi.
Yeah,
Ekadasi.
I've heard Americans call it ecodicy or ecodicy, but in Australia we say it ecodicy.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
That's okay.
Right.
Cool. Any other final questions? All right.
One very quick on probiotics.
Sure.
Um, so you recommended the greens more as a supplement more than probiotics. Is there a reason?
Yeah, I mean, if you can do both, I would go greens and probiotics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Better.
And when you're choosing probiotics, I would recommend going to a naturopath or getting a naturopath brand because there's some brands that are marketed very, very well, and you'll pay either the same or more, and they have less strands of different probiotics and are less potent, basically, but they're just marketed really well versus just chatting to a naturopath at your local health food store and asking them for the best probiotic available.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I've got another question. I'm gluten free. If I go to greens, are they gluten free?
If you get a one without barley grass, and then it should be. I think barley grass was the only one, if I looked into it, that may have traces of gluten in it. So if you go the
So
blue-green algaes, that would be good, like spirulina, chlorella. Yeah.
okay, I've actually got some spirulina and chlorella, which are about 5 years old. Will they still be okay, or should I ditch them?
I'm not sure. You'll have to check the expiry date on that one. Might be good to get some fresh stuff.
Okay, okay. So you're saying barley grass may have
Just check
gluten.
on the grasses. Just
What
double
about
check.
wheatgrass? Well,
Wheatgrass and
wheatgrass.
barley
Okay.
grass. Yeah,
Right,
just
okay,
double check. Yeah.
right. Because most greens seem to have the grasses in.
Yes, so you might be able to buy them individually, the algaes, without the grasses.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you guys so much. Nice to connect in with you. I'll be sending out the first email tonight, and then you'll just get a daily drip feed of emails. I'll add the Facebook group into this first email as well. So if anyone wants to join, you can just jump in there and we can stay connected. Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice rest
Thank
of
you
your
so
day and
much.
night. Bye.
Thank you so
Can I,
much.
can I
Bye.
just check, do we see each other again, or is this it?
This is it. This is the last one, but you can reply to the emails that I send through each day
Yeah.
if you have any questions. Yeah.
Anyway, nice to meet you.
Enjoy your retreat that you're going to as well. Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye.
Thank you.